During the South African War, every British soldier had carried with them an emergency ration. The emergency ration was basically 2 metal tins, one containing cocoa, the other containing pemmican, which was a sort of dried beef, and the two of them were joined together with this band around the middle. And the idea being that there'd have been a ring pull on this originally, you'd have pulled the tab off, you'd have had 2 separate cans, and that gave you an emergency supply of beef and cocoa. So just to give you enough strength to carry on when you'd run out of food. The majority of the cans at the time were oval in design. By far the majority were like that. This particular one is a round version, presumably just a manufacturer's variation, and this one's stamped May 1900, so issued at exactly the same time, nothing different about it apart from the design of the tin itself. In 1904, a committee met to discuss soldiers' equipment and decided that this was too bulky and that it would be far better just to replace this with chocolate because it would do exactly what this needed to do. But the committee also said that stocks of these needed using up first rather than throw them away. Obviously, penny pinching and saving money. So when the army went to war in 1914, there were still quite a few of these kicking about, and it had always been a bit of a debate. Did the army use them? Did they take them with them? And in the mobilisation document of 2nd Battalion Suffolk Regiment, when they left the Curragh in Ireland in August 1914, the instructions to the quartermaster actually say that every soldier should be issued with one of these emergency rations. But then once they got to France at some point, then that would be swapped out for the field ration. So they would have that instead, or the iron ration as it was called. So we know for a fact that these were taken to France. And at the time, instead of the British soldiers having a complete set of the new 1908 pattern web equipment, in virtually every case, the infantry soldiers had still got the Haversacks from the 1903 pattern equipment. It was known as the General Service Haversack. It had been modified, so instead of having the strap that went over your shoulder, it had been modified and had the 2-inch buckles put on the ends so that it could be worn on the equipment, but it still had the pocket in the side, and this pocket was designed specifically to hold the emergency ration. So they certainly did go to France. I suspect they weren't particularly widely used, and I'm guessing that the last of them were probably used up with the territorial force when they finally went to France and headed off to Gallipoli and places like that. But they're an interesting curiosity. They still turn up from time to time, and the contents apparently taste a bit like cardboard. And I suspect that's probably equally true of the beef and the cocoa.